So a woman who is true to herself and trusts her intuition can separate poppy seed from soil.
This is the Anthropology Podcast, the podcast where we optimize the bodies, brains, and lifestyles of entrepreneurs, go-getters, and world-changing innovators.
Welcome to the Anthropology Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Walker. As an anthropologist and a naturopathic doctor, I optimize the health and performance of badass women working to change the world as entrepreneurs and go-getters. You know, people exactly like you. Your business, body, balance, and inner badass, these are the themes that we are exploring. Before we jump into the interview, I want to invite you to join our free Facebook community, Legacy. If you want to be something amazing, you need to surround yourself with amazing people. The Legacy community is made up of badass women living, not leaving, but living our legacy every single day. We are leaders, parents, entrepreneurs, and innovators collectively committed to leaving the world better than we found it. My mission is to support the health and optimization of these badass superheroes, literally to places we never thought imaginable. If you are on a mission and get it that your health is the key to your unlimited potential, then join us. We are super awesome. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/groups/BE Legacy. See you there. Today's guest is a naturopathic doctor who practices here in Ontario. What is so fundamentally unique about what she has built is that her business is foundational upon the notion of intention and female empowerment. Dr. Michelle Peris leads her business initiatives and her entrepreneurial spirit from intent, from her spirit and what feels right. Not in the kind of way we wish all entrepreneurs would move away from, but in a way and with a bravery that I wish more people would look at and embrace. It is not about how do I put out something perfect into the world. It is how do I put something meaningful into the world. And as a result, she has built a clinic and a tribe of women who follow her as they should. Today's interview was about health, but what it was also about was how do we create a vision and intention for our business? How do we really feel that? And what are the actual exercises we need to go through to make that happen? How do we blend the need to have a vision for where we're going and a plan for execution that keeps us grounded and moving forward? We talked vision boards, health practices, daily routines. This is a gem for anyone who knows and feels and wants to infuse those elements into their business. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Michelle Peris. Dr. Michelle Peris, welcome to the Anthropology Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here, Megan. I am so excited to talk with you today.
Well, I have a million questions for you, and I've been learning a lot about your business and your journey over the last year, which is why I was so excited to have you on the podcast. Can you share with everybody listening a little bit about your personal journey, how you got here, what you're passionate about, and we're going to take it from there.
Okay. I think my journey starts as far back as being influenced by the biggest entrepreneur in my life, which was my dad. And I just thought he was such a rock star at what he did. And he was a total dopamine junkie. So I just felt that excitement of entrepreneurship and doing it your own way and just owning it. I knew from a long time ago as well that I was probably not going to make the best employee, and I had to find my own way to do things. You know, ventured through school and found a love of health sciences, and that's what brought me to naturopathic medicine. And having that entrepreneurial spirit is what helped bring my passion and my love to creating a life that I'm really having fun with.
How did you get to naturopathic medicine?
Well, long, convoluted journey. I started off in university as a dance major, and mostly because someone told me I would never be a dancer. So I set my eyes on what someone told me I can't do. And once I accomplished that, I really didn't want it anymore. And because I was already in the kinesiology building, I kind of was this lost soul looking for something that I was meant to do, and ended up in an anatomy lab and found a deep love for health sciences and the human body and how it worked. And it all went from there. I was actually studying to be a physiotherapist. And through that experience, a lot of the physiotherapists around me were studying to become doctors. And I was like, well, why am I working so hard for this if this is not where people are feeling very happy? And so someone in the clinic where I was volunteering told me to go see a herbal doctor and a herbalist. And she put me on a nutrition plan and Chinese herbs, and I was transformed. I had no idea I was unwell before that, but just the mental clarity and the energy, I felt a whole new energy that I just didn't realize that I was missing on. And that just changed my trajectory into looking at how do I do this for other people? And I found the college in Toronto and looked at the curriculum and felt like for the first time that there was a curriculum that was just me. And for the first time felt like I'd met my people. They were so like-minded. I really felt like I never quite fit in before that, and then found naturopathic medicine, and it was just so appropriate. It just was my jam.
I love this description because all due respect to physicians, my husband's a physician. I get it. I've never heard any of them say, I read through the med school curriculum and I knew that I had found my destiny, right? Like it's never the conversation. And it's kind of cool because what I really love and I get excited about for people who utilize this system of medicine is that you actually have doctors who are like, no, like I'm living and breathing the essence of what's important to me. And I can't imagine anything more powerful in the person who is providing you with care. So, going from that place, and I love your passion around that, what do you consider to be your personal quest or mission in terms of healthcare, in terms of your entrepreneurial journey?
My personal quest has so much to do with finding myself and discovering who I truly am and reclaiming who I think I was born to be. And that feeds me and nourishes me and helps me stay clear to my purpose. And I think when I dive deep and look to myself to be vulnerable and raw for myself and others, that is inspiring and helps other people feel comfortable to honor that themselves. So I think as long as I continually work towards self-improvement and just owning who I truly am, that really helps other people do the same thing, or my patients or my community rediscover that for themselves as well.
Yeah, I really love that. Like as you're talking and describing this, I get the sense that your business is really a platform for personal self-discovery and for a creative outlet. And like what a gift that you have that opportunity.
Totally. And you just put it so perfectly. Yes, that is exactly what it is.
So in doing this and in creating this business that is so focused on intention, how do you actually infuse that in what you deliver to your clients? Because here's like the ultimate entrepreneurial challenge, right? It's like, I'm solving problems for other people, but it serves something in my own needs. So for a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I like having my business because I get to be independent and I serve this useful tool for my patients or my clients or whatever it is they happen to do as entrepreneurs. But you found this like really creative way of intertwining the two. What kind of outlets do you deliver to your population so that they are able to engage with this journey as well?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to first talk about how important intention is for me and how that translates for my patients, because I love this question. But I think I've learned through Gretchen Rubin's work and the 4 tendencies that I am the ultimate rebel. And I resist internal and external expectations. They are not what drive me. If I have a to-do list and I know I need to get it done, or someone really needs to get something done for me, that's not what drives me. What drives me is to understand the why I'm doing it. I needed to dig deep and create something creative and that spoke to me, so that every morning I woke up and knew I was serving a purpose and really enjoying it. And I think being intentional in my practice and in my business, that is something consumers, my patients, the community feels, and they may not quite know what exactly it is, because I'm not the best at being able to verbalize it, but it's felt. And I know that the rebel in me was only going to be able to stick to something if it was purposeful and intentional.
So how did you get to that place where you're like, I've got to find the why? Like even that language, like, thank you, Simon Sinek, for like challenging all of us to go there. But like, what was it? You're like, oh gosh, like I'm doing my thing, but like, I got to go deeper. Like, how did you figure that out?
So I have to say, quite honestly, coaching was what got me there. We don't often ask ourselves the right questions. I can be so in the moment trying to get things done and hustling and not really thinking about the why. And so being accountable to someone and having to like go there and answer questions authentically and really evaluate my business and what I really wanted to do with that. Why am I here? Why am I getting up every day and leaving my children and my husband to come here? Why am I doing that? And so I think spending a period of time working through questions and analyzing and looking for answers in podcasts, in books, in movies, it comes to me. I really trust my intuition. And I feel like as long as I put the question out there, the answer always comes. And I try to stay open so that it becomes clear to me the why. And it did. The story just started to unfold, and it continues to unfold of like, yes, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm here.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that story, because I was sort of privy to a little bit of the behind the scenes of like the new launch of your clinic, the Poppy Clinic, and the name, and like you found it in this book. And like one of the things I really wanted to get into in this conversation, and I know you wanted to touch on it as well, was this notion of symbolism in business, which is so cool, because I have to be honest, like I'm staring at the towers of downtown Toronto right now, and I'm like, there's not a lot of people in those towers who are talking about the symbolism of business. And I was like, but this is the essence of like how what you do in the world makes you happy. So like, tell us the story of how the Poppy Clinic came to be, because it's actually just really cool.
You want me to tell the entire thing? Okay.
You tell what you want to, you tell the parts you want to tell, but I love the symbolic.
Make it not too, okay. So you being my coach, I hope I can say that.
You cannot say that.
You asked me to look for a name that was aspirational, and I've had lots of thoughts about this since then, because when I proposed it, it wasn't maybe necessarily, now I understand, aspirational to the person who it needed to be aspirational to. My journey with finding a clinic name and using symbolism in my business, which everything here really has a purpose and it's symbolic to me, was through realizing my feminine power and getting really engrossed in the divine feminine, like texts, like the women who run with the wolves. And I had this idea of naming my clinic, the Poppy Clinic. And I had no reason why, and nobody around me loved it. But I was like, well, I want to stay open to that. So I was with my family, and my mother-in-law had mentioned that she had the book, The Women Who Run with Wolves. She was like, I'm going to bring it for you. And just someone who trusts intuition. I know this sounds a little airy-fairy, but when I looked in the textbook, my favorite number was something that she'd put in the index and underlined and squared as it being a really important, valuable page to her. And I opened it, and the first word I locked in on was poppy seed. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's the name. So I stopped listening to everybody else and was like, I really have to trust it. And when I went home and what I read, what the poppy seed symbolizes, or what it meant in the context of that book, was that when women are bombarded with a smorgasbord of options in this world, and it's hard to stay clear or stay true to yourself and continue to move, stay in your lane and go for what your heart really desires, you have to hold on to that. And so a woman who is true to herself and trusts her intuition can separate poppy seed from soil. And that really is the mission of the clinic. Is I think we're trying to do something much bigger here, where we have women who need to be reminded of who they truly are and listen and trust their body and their intuition, so that they can help themselves thrive, help their family members thrive, and be a successful community member and be happy. So the name may not at first glance be aspirational to everyone who sees it for the first time. And that's why I kept it quiet until the website was up, so that people could read the story. But it's aspirational to me. It keeps me totally in alignment with what I am trying to do here. And that it is aspirational to me. And hopefully when people read the story, they find it aspirational. It speaks to them on a deeper level and wants them to connect and want to go on the same wild journey.
I love that story. I love the symbolism of this idea of finding that focus to differentiate the soil from the poppy seed. Like, it's such a powerful image. And you're right. The story is what drives the name. And frankly, I think what happens is stories build tribes. And that's one of the key outlets that you've done in your clinic, is that you have intentionally built a community and a tribe. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think this is something that one, we gravitate towards as women, but as female entrepreneurs, I think the idea of leading and building a tribe around your brand and around your business is an incredible way of creating buy-in and ongoing conversation with the people around you.
I couldn't agree more. I knew when I was looking for a space that there had to be room for community. I've always enjoyed community programs. If I ran a group detox, I got deep fulfillment from that. It was just different from a one-on-one setting. And the concept of the community we've created here, Rebel Tribe, came through this whole journey and looking deeper and really getting clear about what I wanted. And I think what is so interesting is that I wasn't sure if it would fly. I really had this doubt that it might fail. I thought, how could I get women to come monthly to, take a moment from their life and commit to like a 1-year program when their life is already so maxed out. And so I had to get really clear as to the why, because I think that's what spoke to women. Because I think what is so interesting and kind of humorous is when I got clear that I was going to create a tribe or a community of women, and to be very intentional, I took powerful words and I took what I felt like I could offer a group of women, which was my clinical expertise in women's health, and create a curriculum for them. And I wasn't sure that I, at the time, was the right person to be talking about the divine feminine, because it was such a new concept for myself. But I did feel like an expert in women's health, and I could deliver powerful information or useful information to them to help them understand their bodies more, which I feel like will have a direct result in them trusting their bodies more and discovering their intuition. So I put together this program, and in essence, it's sisterhood and self-care. And it really focuses on learning about your body and learning a different way about your body that you probably didn't learn in school. The functional tests that are available to you to help you on your journey to knowing what you probably already know, but everyone said, no, you're fine. There's nothing wrong. We can't find anything. And knowing that your health is in your hands. And so I pitched this idea. I totally thought it would flop. it felt very vulnerable because it was something I was so proud of and so in love with, but I didn't quite know what it was yet. But I was like, I'll launch and learn. I'm just going to put it out there. We'll see what happens. And, if it can't be a closed group the first time because I just can't get the sign up, okay, I can live with that. I'll develop a curriculum. I'll figure it out. But when I put it out there, I tried to launch other things in the clinic, 40 women instantly signed up to come to the free info session. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is speaking to women in a very deep way. And it kind of humorous because there really was no curriculum created yet. And so in that info session, we set 2 hours and I created this PowerPoint and put my heart into it and inspirational quotes and was like, I'm going to trust that I know what to say and I'm just going to allow it to come to me. And all these women came together and I was done in 45 minutes and I felt like I totally flopped it. And I was feeling so embarrassed inside. And I was like, who is going to want to come to this? Like I just failed these women because I had put so much pressure on myself and probably hadn't prepared in the right way. Like I thought I was Tony Robbins or something and that it would just have this power.
You are Tony Robbins.
But it was very humorous to me. But the magic in that moment was that they could have left after that info session because they could have taken that hour and 15 minutes that they had already left their life for and got something done. But they stayed and they gathered and they talked. And it was so powerful. And 13 women signed up right from there. By 2 weeks out after the course was full, there was a waiting list. I was turning people away. And I realized that a women's group that I had created about femininity, I never even gave them my definition of femininity. And yet they locked in, signed up, and were like, let's do this. And it was so powerful. And it feels so much bigger than me. And I'm just in love with the idea of it. And it really has inspired and invigorated my practice. And I feel like I'm attracting the right people. I'm working with the people I can actually help. And it's awesome. It's totally awesome.
Well, I love what you have built. And just so people know, in case they miss it, it's called Rebel Tribe.
Yes.
Which is so appropriate. But the powerful thing about this, and this is like my coaching lens, like looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is so awesome, is that you led with intention on this initiative, not perfection. And we get caught in that as women. We're like, I got to lead with perfection because, as women, we're always looking around, how perfect are we compared to everyone else? But what really resonates with women is the intention behind what's handed to them. And you cut through all of the BS that encompasses perfection and went straight for intention. And that's what I love about it. I think that's why it was so powerful and so easy, frankly.
Yeah, totally. And it's just such a beautiful thing, right? Because I am totally that person that can get paralyzed by overanalyzing things. And I went with my heart on this one and I launched something I hadn't really figured out what it was totally. And it worked.
Well,
it totally worked.
It was brave. And,
yep.
And it helps that you have a little bit of rebel in you, right? Like even the name of your clinic, people are like, are you sure? You're like, okay, now I'm extra sure. Which is kind of what I love about that rebel tendency in general. But you've really built something beautiful. And I think it's a really fabulous example for other entrepreneurs. But I know we get caught in this as women in particular, that if you lead with intention, you get clear on your why, things really do unfold as they need to. And you just have to trust that everything's around you the way it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember I talked to you about, really being afraid to be seen and posting and criticism. And you were like, when you find your purpose, you can't keep your mouth shut. It just pours out of you. You probably said it more beautiful than that, but or more eloquently, but you need to scream it from the mountaintop. And that's totally how I feel. It's like, we got to do this. I can't even stop this force anymore. It's coming.
I love
so
it.
Own it.
I love it. Okay. So the other thing that you do that I think is really awesome, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't done one of these for a long time, but I said to my husband, we need to do this. And he kind of looked at me like, really, right now? Is a vision board.
Yeah.
And I know you've spoken to me a little bit about the power of your vision board in the past, but I have one very practical question for you around this. And then two, I want you to just describe your methodology around it, because I know in speaking to other entrepreneurs, this is an incredibly powerful tool for them in their life. And I'm not sure what my personal hesitation is on it right now, but I want you to break through that for me. Is like, how do you make a vision board when no one buys magazines anymore? Let's just start there.
It's super old school, and I am old school about it. I love vision boards. My husband and I started doing them together 6 years ago, and I missed a year or two in there, and there was just like distinct differences in terms of what I accomplished with those years that I had a vision board versus the years that I had one. So to me, it spoke volumes that you need to see it every day. You need to know the why. You need to know the direction so that you can also say no to the things that aren't getting you to where you need to go. So my vision board has evolved, and I will say that the vision board of 2018 is going to look completely different from those previous. But I will share with you what I think has worked so far. And the first year, you're right, I used magazines and I used images, and it never spoke to me. It just didn't light me up. So I never did that again. Then I go to Michael's, I get a nice whiteboard, I get stickers, and I make it pretty in terms of I write the year out, and then I have 4 categories. I do marriage, family, health, and business, or career I've put. And what has worked for me thus far is to write things in affirmations. We are obsessed with affirmations in our home. We have mirror markers everywhere. We write everything when we need it. And so writing things in positive I am statements as if they were already true for each one of those categories is what really seemed to work well for me. And I do pick a word or two every year in terms of that's what I want to be the driving force, or that's what I want to be looking for. And that's really how I've done it. I fill it, I make it colorful, and I hang it in my bathroom. And I glance at it every time I get in the shower every morning. And sometimes I may look at it a little longer, but that subconscious feedback, it being there, just has always served me very well. I love vision boards. This year, I'm going to try and hone in my not dreamy, because I think they should be dreamy and inspirational, but I want to be very intentional, and I want to be a little bit more strategic. Like that's, I'm a big feelings person, and like that part's not a problem. So I need to be a little more like Excel spreadsheet and, list oriented. So I got Dave Rule's entrepreneurial calendar, What's that called? Yeah. And I'm going to follow that structure a little bit. So I'm going to pick 6 goals for the year. And I'm going to still write it in I am statements on my vision board. And actually, as a Rebel Tribe, we're doing vision boards together. And that's why I've held off doing it this year. But I'm going to try to see if I can accomplish more by refining it a little bit. Not putting so much out there, being very clear about, these 6 things are what I want to accomplish. And I'll do the book, why can't I think of the name? Anyways, the bookkeeper or whatever, the entrepreneurial guide, I'll use that to help the day-to-day to accomplish.
Do you mean the Ethic Planner?
Thank you. The Ethic Planner.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know, because mine's right in front of me. I love it.
Well, I got it. Yeah, because you said it was good. But I'm excited. And I will keep the vision board dreamy, but I'm trying to meld those two worlds together. So vision boards for me have always helped me accomplish what I think is really important. And some things don't come to form in that first year that I put it on there. Like opening up my own clinic has been there every year, but it didn't make sense for my family. But I knew that through my experiences that I would get there. And so the airy fairy put it out there, like, just this is what I want to accomplish in life. And I put down numbers too. I will put down numbers in terms of how much I want to make. And that always comes through true form. It's insane. But when you own it and you put it out there and it seems like that could never happen, it does, So there's something to it, but I'm going to try and restructure it so it's just a little bit more refined, a little bit more accountable, because that's the dreaming part is not, the creative part's not what I need to worry about. I need to focus on how do I make this actually happen? What can I do this next year that's actually going to take me and my life to the next level? And so, yeah, I'm just refining it a little bit.
But that's exactly it, is on that journey of entrepreneurism. Like the first step is finding that true, deep rooted fueling passion and purpose. I much prefer purpose to passion. And then going, okay, how do I take this vision and turn it into actionable steps? Like that's so important, but mature is the wrong word, but it's a sophisticated entrepreneurial move, right? When you can go from having all of these ideas and vision to having a plan for execution. Like now that's how that vision comes to fruition. So I love hearing that. And I love you acknowledging the sort of 3-dimensional requirements of taking ideas and putting them to paper, because I think there's a whole group of people who are awesome at executing. They're like, I never know what to make because I'm not tapped into what's really purposeful for me. And then there's this other whole group where like, I have so many ideas, but I can never get them out the door. And you're just like pushing right through all of it to kind of make it happen.
I'm trying. I'm definitely trying.
I love it. What, Michelle, do you want your legacy to be?
I first hope that my legacy is that with my own little tribe, that the people who I love think that I was a good mother and wife and friend and sister and neighbor and daughter. That's important to me. And then I think if I am part of a movement that allows women to find or rediscover who they truly are, and to offload and stop trying to do it all themselves and just share their burden with their tribe and just not feel like they have to do it all and be everything to everyone, and give them permission to just be themselves, just the way women have in the past have given me permission to be who I truly am, then I will be very, very happy with that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love the idea of building intergenerational wealth and wisdom. And that's exactly what that is. It's so well put.
Absolutely.
How do you define health?
So very simply put, I think it's about keeping it real. Real food, real emotions, real friendships, just real authenticity for me is health.
One of the most important considerations for my patients is how closely can they follow my instructions? How easy is it to be compliant? If you take supplements, you know that tracking down the exact products that your healthcare provider recommends can be a huge hassle. This is the reason that I use FullScript as my online dispensary, so my patients can get the exact products I recommend delivered straight to the door. The best part is that FullScript sends out refill reminders when you're running low, and it makes it totally effortless to stay on track with your protocols. Never hassle with supplements again. Ask your healthcare provider to sign you up for FullScript. If you're a healthcare provider, you can sign up for a totally free account at fullscript.com/anthropology. What a perfect segue, because I want to get a sense of how you keep yourself healthy. And in the second part of the interview, we do something called our KPIs, or key performance indicators. So just like we have these in business to keep us on track, I think we have these with respect to our own health. So I've got 6 sort of rapid fire questions for you that give us a bit of a glimpse in terms of the real day-to-day practical implementation of this life that you have built. You ready?
Sure. I'm ready.
Okay. Michelle, do you have a consistent morning routine? And if so, can you share?
My morning routine was rocked by opening a business. So I am getting to a new place of delegating so that I can return to my love of early mornings. I love getting to the gym a couple times a week if I can. I love starting my day off with slow and quiet, intentional quiet, because it helps me feel calm in my day. I can get so out of body and lost in the hustle bustle that I really need to be intentional about my day. So if I can get to the gym, if I can have a few minutes to journal or deep breathe or meditate, that's a great start to the day. But it's been rocked. I've been sleeping a lot lately.
Can I just jump in with a practical question here? Because you have 2 kids and I'm always curious about these things. How early do you get up to include quiet? Because I find that really hard. I really find that just really hard.
Yeah, it's genuinely hard, especially like one of my kids always wakes up too early and I'm like, no, my moment is gone. But if I get to bed early enough, I will get up just before 6 and I will get to the gym and I'll be home before 7. And I usually will get about 10 to 15 minutes of quiet before everybody comes running down full force.
And that's usually all it takes.
Yeah. Quick.
Yeah. And I understand full force.
Yeah. And I'll just quickly say those days that someone else wakes up early and I don't have it, I'll try and lie in bed and just take a few deep breaths and say what I'm grateful for and just try and use that instead of, the ideal dream, because you've got young kids, so you can't always do that.
Truth.
Yeah.
Fiction or nonfiction? What are you reading right now?
A whole lot of nonfiction, and I go with where my heart leads me that day. So I'm reading The Women Who Run with Wolves, which is just really huge, and I come and go from it. Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown is just amazing. And When Breath Becomes Air. And I just rotate.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you read them or listen to them?
I read those ones, but I do have audibles and I listen to a lot of Brené Brown in the car and podcasts.
We're grateful for that.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you're most consistent with respect to your health?
Most consistent with? Gratitude. I'm really consistent with gratitude.
Awesome. What's something totally badass about you that people would not otherwise know?
Okay, I'm going to say that I am the best secret car dancer. And that's what I use to fuel me up for the day if I really feel like I need to pump up and be ready for whatever the day leads. And so today's car dance was epic.
What were you dancing to?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to admit it. The Moana soundtrack.
Love this. I told you this was behind the scenes.
I know. Taylor Swift and Gwen Stefani and Akon, fun
this
music.
woman is unstoppable today. That soundtrack is killer. Okay, you maybe already answered this question, but what do you do for fun or play?
Oh, dancing at home is definitely a big one. I need to do it more, but I would say that is hanging out with my family and laughing is most definitely my favorite thing for fun.
And finally, entrepreneurism. Are we born this way or do we learn to become entrepreneurs?
So I think at the core, there's probably aspects of us that are born to be an entrepreneur, but I don't think that limits those who have that desire to learn those skills.
You've got your purpose. You always find a way, right?
That's right. I truly do believe that.
Dr. Michelle Peris of the Poppy Clinic and Rebel Tribe, where can people find out more about you and the cool stuff you're up to?
Oh, finally, the website is launched. So poppyclinic.com. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and our website. And for me personally, most of my content is under Dr. Mama ND. So you can find that as well.
Amazing. Thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Megan. This was fun.
If you enjoyed our conversation and would like to hear more, head on over to Stitcher or iTunes and subscribe to the Anthropology Podcast. We would also really appreciate a quick review. When people have their health, they can change the world. Let us keep you healthy and you go change the world.